Good morning, everybody. As you can see from my jeans and T-shirt, this is obviously one conference that I had obviously planned to attend. Because I happened to meet Professor Bala this morning at breakfast, and I was hijacked quite delightfully, I must confess. When he was introducing us the way he did, which Mohan referred to in, by the way, very delectable remarks and a beautiful way to launch this conference. But I'll come back to Mohan's remarks in a while. And so I had to make this joke on God as well, except fortunately I was just thinking that I'm not a religious guy, so it kind of helps me a little bit. But there is a doha in Hindi, which probably Bala knew when he was introducing us, and it simply says, Guru Gobind do mile, kake lagon pai, Balihari Guru Apune Govind Diro Me Aaye. Which basically is talking that if you had a choice between a guru and a god, who would you pick? I'd just pick Bala, so as the guru. Many years ago, my father used to send me like an errand boy, which I was, to do odds and ends that would mean sending a telegram, getting a ration card stamped, paying some taxes, or getting an RTO office. There was always government large in my youth, not the least because he himself was a government employee. But he would send me to all these government offices with always one piece of advice. And he would say, when you want to get something done, go into the room and find a busy person, because only he or she will find the time. And I would say, Dad, he's busy. And I laughed it off for almost 30 years. And now I find myself saying the same thing, because obviously the apple didn't fall too far from the tree, I was thinking. And quite honestly, I've now begun to say that time and time again, that if you want to get something done, find a busy person, because only she will find the time. The reason is very peculiar. The reason is not that busy people are engaged in performing activities. Busy people are engaged in the activity of creating time. Busy people are time factories, and you'll never hear them say they don't have time. So you may think of them as achieving stuff, but the truth is busy people have lots of time, which is kind of strange. And since they are in the business of generating time, they just manage to fill it. Which in an organization differentiates between MBAs, I don't mean MBAs as the PGPM, PGDM, which I call management by activity, as opposed to managing by purpose. When you tend to manage by purpose, you tend to do fewer activities. Drucker famously said, there is nothing quite so useless as doing with great efficiency what should not be done at all. So those of us who get trapped in activities are druckering ourselves. As a result, people who tend to be busy, as opposed to people who truly are generating time, tend to focus attention on a few things that are important to achieving a larger purpose. In terms of a challenge that organizations have, there is probably nothing more important than aligning individual activities with a larger piece that is supposed to represent the strategic purpose and the strategic direction of the company by itself. Mohan referred to the Great Place to Work Institute, so I was beginning to sweat that he was going to say something that would kind of cause concern, but I like that little triangle. But by the way, it just happens to also be that I'm just glad to also include TastyBites in the top 50 companies to work for in the Great Place Institute. That's just an advertisement, by the way, but don't take me seriously. I have a problem with the work-life balance piece. And I confess to my problem. Those who seek work-life balance will probably not find it. To to me, seeking work-life balance is like putting work in one end of a spectrum and putting life in another end of a spectrum and defining work and non-work and saying that's okay, this is work and this is non-work. The flip side of that coin is you might say this is life and this is non-life. I have a problem with this. Oftentimes the conflict that we see does not exist. We get anchored. And so one of the biggest challenge that we have as individuals is not to get anchored. It's not unusual for you to bring work home, which we wrongly call homework. You bring work home, it's called homework. What about when you bring home work? That should be called work home. But the truth is that I'm constantly working when I'm at home, and I'm constantly doing stuff that I should be doing at home when I'm at work. And it doesn't seem to matter, because that is the way of the life. We live in multiple time zones. It's morning here, it's night for me there. There's stuff that I have to get done back home. And I'm not going to sit down and seek a balance that I will not find. Oftentimes this anchoring gives us a problem. It's a duvidha. And I'm saying this very guardedly, and this happens even in organizations. We start our company by stating that we have an overarching purpose, which says that you want to build TastyBite into a socially responsible organization that will provide consumer delight. We're using these two operating keywords. We call it socially responsible and call it consumer delight. What if somebody asks me, hey, Ashok, if you came to a fork in the road that you had to choose between being socially responsible and providing consumer delight, what would you choose? My answer is, hey, that means you took the wrong road. If you come to a fork in such a road, you took the wrong road. Because any decision you make is wrong. Go back. And don't choose a road that brings you into the fork that asks you this question, which is this work or is this life? So when we're talking about the triangle where you find yourself at harmony with the purpose of the organization, you find yourself at harmony with the pride in the job, and you find yourself at harmony with others at work, all you're really saying is you have already got the work-life balance that you're seeking. You're unlikely to have a harmonized employee who's not harmonized at home. It's very unlikely. You may find a hard-working employee who's unhappy at home. But you won't find someone at harmony between 9 and 5 and someone in disharmony between 5 and 9. It's kind of important that we understand that seeking something, you got to be careful because you might find it, and then you better decide what you have to do with it when you find it. I often keep saying, don't look for answers, as you saw today. This is a Google generation. And I say this in class, answers are everywhere. That's the easy part. When we grew up, we got marks because we had the right answers. Today you probably won't get graded because you have the right answers. All you have to do is to Google, including how to make a 3-step for folding a shirt, or how to take the egg yolk out of an egg, by the way, which you should Google or YouTube. It's a beautiful way. It's very elegant. But the more important thing is you can Google for answers, you can't Google for questions. The big thing that you'll have to do is to really ask the right questions and imagine a world. Imagine a world. We're talking about a virtual workplace. This is not going to happen in 2018. It's already happening now. We have employees in Australia, in the US and India, but there are people in Australia who are doing work for us in India. There are people in India who are doing work for us in the US. There is somebody sitting in Mississippi who's actually running a chart of accounts and printing checks that get actually printed in Stamford. So these are things that are already happening. We don't have to wait because most of it happens as you visualize the world right now. So I was very, very, very impressed by the launch of this conference, Mohan. Thank you so much. This has been a delightful way to introduce this. I only came in here for 10 minutes because I had to. I also was meeting up with Mr. Arumugaswamy, who was really made a remarkable impression on me, who runs our Arogyam Organics. And he's an organic farmer who works in the area from Dindigal, and the first person in his village to have actually got into a a diploma and subsequently got educated. I just wanted to acknowledge, if I may request Mr. Arumugaswamy to please stand up. We talk about human resources. We talk about human resources, we talk about entrepreneurship, and that energizes me. I just had to acknowledge him, since he was actually the purpose of me having this meeting, and then, as I said, I got delightfully hijacked, but I will have to go back. Thank you so much, and enjoy the conference.